Well, here I am doing the last job in the Beak Jeep before I give her away. Well, I'm not giving her away, selling her to a buddy. So this video is a nice farewell video to the Beak Jeep as we come and inspect a split that I made. In fact, this is the mother hive. So technically the split I took away to a client's location, and I wanted to see what was left in this, if they had raised a queen yet. As I arrived, I noticed a cluster underneath the bottom board. And since I've been getting the video equipment set up, well, let me just show you what's going on. Right now, we've got a swarm starting. So, stick around and we'll talk about what may be going on and how to handle it. Welcome back to the Hive Doctor, everyone. So I just showed up, noticed a cluster on this bottom board, and suspected a virgin queen had gone out for mating flight, became mated, made it back, didn't quite get inside, but the bees detected her, they smelled her pheromone, and so they started clustering on her outside. Since my arrival to just getting my camera equipment set up, the colony has begun to swarm. As you can tell, they're filling the air. So I was going to do a quick inspection on these girls, but there's no point right now. Either way, the bees are going to do what the bees are going to do. So we're going to check out another colony and see how they're doing. We haven't looked at them in a while. And hopefully during this video, we'll be able to see where these girls decide to land, and maybe we'll just catch ourselves a swarm. So hopefully that'll be what happens. But this is the first swarm I've seen in 2 years, because my bees aren't in my backyard. I've got to drive to this out yard, but I look forward to seeing what they do. In the meantime, I'm going to take you guys a little closer so you can see what it looks like when a swarm is swarming. And I know it's a little obvious at this point, but what I mean is how they're exiting the box. They're just pouring out. There's no mistaking what's happening. I got some bees going in, but the majority of them are coming out. And then of course we've got this cluster right here on the bottom. It looks like they're starting to add to the cluster. Now the reason I don't want to necessarily do anything and mess with them is they're too touchy right now. They're working on establishing a new queen that they've raised, because I let them raise their own. And right now they may just be excited that she's home. I've seen it where swarms were not actually a swarm. They just noticed their queen and they end up moving back in. But even now, the cluster on the bottom there is already gone. They are hitting the air, so I'm going to say this is a legit swarm, not just a celebration that mama's home. Now so far, the majority of the cloud is staying near the colony. At first they were starting to fly over the Beak Jeep in this direction, but it's still too early to determine which direction they're headed. Let's just stick with it and see what they do. Okay, so I just got a smoker lit, and in between the time it took to do that, that swarm has moved from the colony, which was over here, and there's still a lot of activity there because, of course, a large portion of the bees are going to be there to raise a new queen as well. Probably, you know, a secondary queen. Anyways, the swarm has moved this direction. One of the things that my mentor used to tell me was, after you have some heavy rains that keep the bees cooped up inside for a day, 2, 3, he has noticed in weather like that once you get the first or second clear day after those heavy constant rains, swarms start to hit the air and they'll go to the trees. So something for you to keep in mind and just watch. You know, there's nothing you can necessarily do about it. I don't try to prevent swarms. I used to try to make splits and take advantage of all the queen cells, but anymore It's just an extra task I don't worry about myself in my personal beekeeping operation. I just let them do what they're gonna do. I don't like fighting against Mother Nature. That's why I just set up swarm traps, you know? If they wanna go there, great. But that's the most heroics that I'll go to anymore as far as swarm taking advantage of. But if a swarm lands low enough for me to shake into a box, I'm gonna do it. You can count on that. So the way that they're sticking around this kudzu over here, I anticipate them landing fairly soon. In the meantime, let's go ahead and pop open this other hive. I'll keep an eye on them and keep you guys updated in this video. Hey guys, so just did the inspection on this hive. Apparently forgot to hit record on the camera. Oh, I can't stand that. I'm like talking and talking and then go to turn it off and find out it was never on. So anyways, who cares? That hive's doing fine. They're a little bit behind. They've got a laying queen. Their brood looks good. They've got resources coming in. So let's just go do an update on this swarm and see where they're at. They are still flying around. They are flying low over by this downed log here. I'm hoping they're going to choose a spot here to begin to cluster. Because I've got some equipment here in this yard. I've got several deeps with comb, bottom board, top cover. That's all you really need to shake them down into. But let's go look and see what we can see. Maybe they'll start landing soon. I love standing in a swarm. And you know what? I see them already beginning to cluster. They are starting to cluster right here. We're gonna hop over this log so you guys can get a closer look. Oh, off-road beekeeper. Sounds like a good YouTube channel name. All right, so they're landing on a kudzu vine that's climbing up through some Chinese privet. There are bees all over the leaves here, like right here, beginning to settle. But as you can tell, the primary cluster is beginning to land right here. I'm gonna go get a box and leave you guys right here to watch them cluster and get bigger. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna show you guys me setting this up. There's some logs on the ground right below it. An easy spot for me to get things ready. I've got a bottom board here, an old one. Perfect for this. I'm gonna level up the area a little bit where the bottom board's gotta sit. Means I gotta move stuff around. Okay. Trying to get everything as close to under this swarm as I can so I can do a direct shake. Sometimes you can move, like this is on a vine, I'll probably be able to move this directly over the box because I can't quite get it right where I want it. So there's the bottom board. It's stable enough. I did not find a deep I was satisfied with. So I got this medium box with, let's see, I got 9 frames of comb in there. And then I'm just gonna leave it right here for now until this swarm is finished settling. It's out of the air and it's a full cluster. So I'm gonna bring you guys back at that point. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes since the last part I told you, I'd bring you right back. And the majority of the bees have definitely joined the cluster here. There's a few dozen still flying around in the air here, but the question must be asked while we are waiting here, how long must a swarm cluster in one spot, like before you shake them? I've never really heard that question before, but the reason I ask it now is I feel like there's a certain satisfaction that bees might have through their swarming tendency, that urgency, that urgency they feel to split off from the mother hive, take off and make a home somewhere else. And I like to think that hitting the air is one sense. You know, they're in that frenzy. And although it seems like a frenzy to us, they know exactly what they're doing. But then accumulating onto a branch temporarily before they move off to where their scout bees have chosen for them to ultimately end up. Like I feel like there's a certain amount of satisfaction as well in landing, you know, being one again, not just all over the place in the air. So I've responded to a lot of swarms, especially in the past when I was in Florida, shaken a lot. Not too many here in Georgia. I'm always too far away, or there's so many beekeepers here that, you know, one of them's called first. But I feel when I'm done waiting is about how long I'm going to give them. And then I will know when they land. Like a lot of times they'll just take up to the box you've given them, and you'll know that because they're not flying in a frenzy looking like they're swarming yet again. That's how you know they're likely not going to stay in your equipment, because swarms can be very finicky, particular, picky. But if they begin to fan at the entrance, at the bottom board, and the one I leave at the top with the hive cover, there's that donkey again. Anyways, when they begin to fan that Nazanov, you know that they're going to stick with your equipment, or at least the chances of it are a lot more likely. So here in a few minutes, we're going to swarm, or we're going to shake these girls and see exactly what they're going to do, and you guys are going to get to see that. Also, I really like to keep on hand a queen cage for when I'm catching swarms. You'd be surprised how many times I've actually found the queen in a swarm, caged her, corked the end with a little bit of a ball of beeswax, and that way I keep her in there for 2 to 3 days, and the bees have to stay. They're not going to swarm again. And what I'm doing is I'm forcing them to stay in my equipment. They begin to forage and bring home nectar and pollen and store it in this box. So I'm increasing their chances by caging that queen of them staying here as their new home. I don't have a queen cage with me today because the Beak Jeep has been cleaned out since I'm selling it. So I looked around my apiary down here. I also don't have one sitting around there. So we're just going to do this old school style and do the shake and hope that they want to stay. Now, if you ever don't have a clean area to shake like this, it's nice to have some clippers too to get things out of your way, branches, twigs, so that you can have a nice clean shake, nothing in the way of the top of your box, because it just kind of makes a mess for you and the bees have to climb over. But I think I'm about ready to shake, and we're going to see what they're going to do. I'm going to try my best to put the camera in such a way that you can see the bees and where they fall. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so here we go. I'm going to bring this swarm over since it's on a vine and shake them into this box, and then I'm going to do my best to change the camera angle so we can watch their behavior and see how they take to it. Kind of want to do as clean of a shake as you can, but I've got them on 2 different plants here. They're on a vine and a branch, so I'm going to bring them down. There we go. All right, now I'm going to put this, well, you know what, let's do this. Bring you guys closer. Let's just look at them here. Usually they'll start going down or they'll start taking off. So what I like to do real quick is put a cover over them. I'm going to do this gently so I don't squash any bees. And leave it kind of catty-cornered. I know I'm trying to do 2 things at once with only 2 hands, but I'll show you guys here in a minute. Okay, so I've got this thing where it's sitting up like this. They like that kind of thing, and as you can see, I've already got bees fanning that Nazanov gene, or Nazanov pheromone. I've got bees down here on this branch walking towards the colony, or the hive box. They're coming up the side. Very good sign. I've got a lot of fanning going on. I'm going to say my immediate judgment on this is that they're going to stay in this box. But let's back up a minute and see the bigger picture. All right, there we go. And the ones that are in the air are slowly coming down. Now, one thing you're going to deal with always when you shake a swarm is you'll have some bees go back up to where they were hanging. Just like so. And the reason for that is because the smell of the queen's pheromone is still up there. Now, I don't believe the queen is up there because of the way these bees down here are acting. I'm confident that the queen's in this box. But the way to deal with this cluster up here to keep the bees from returning up there is to clip it away or have a smoker. You don't want to use a smoker on your swarm ever, because right now smell is important. You don't want to mess that up for them. But you use your smoker up here to make where the queen's pheromone is still strong smell like smoke. That way they'll start to leave this branch, stop going up on it, and then go to your box. So all you can do now is just give them another shake. I've got my smoker. It's lit down there in the yard, so I'm going to go get it and do exactly what I just told you guys. Okay, I'm back with my smoker. I'm going to give these another shake, and now I'm going to smoke right where they keep clustering. Get that smell on there, cover up the pheromone. This is an easy way to get a hot smoker, so make sure you've got it packed really well so you don't get it too hot. And that's it. You may still have some return, but the idea is just to keep at it. All right, so again, their behavior of fanning, good news for us. I believe we caught this swarm. The next step, like I mentioned earlier, is to just leave them alone. I'm going to come back tonight. The majority of these bees will be down in between the frames. That way I can close this lid tight, pick this whole thing up as one from the bottom board, and move them back down into my apiary in a different location away from the mother hive so as not to confuse any pheromones. Or I could even move them to another apiary tonight. Either way, wherever they wake up in the morning, that's where they're going to orient. I've seen this happen so many times over the years with swarms that I catch. So this was a great one. This was successful. I'm happy for it. And then I'm going to give them at least a week to settle in with no disturbance before I go in and start inspecting to see if the queen is laying eggs. Probably 7 days, a good solid week. No later, because I want to keep up with them. I don't want to get away from me or not be able to catch something that I could have done something about. So that was a successful catch today. I'm glad that happened. The timing with making a video. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Hive Doctor out.